Well, good evening. Welcome, Madridistas. How are you all doing? Today I'm taking everything a bit as a joke. Um, it's been like that for a while, but especially today. Today I'm feeling really laid back, especially with everything that's blown up on social media because of something Collins said, man. Oh my God, now even Collins is getting heat, man. All because he touched a player. And it's just that we're in a situation where, like I've said 1,000 times already, right? In this new trend where we're fans of players and not of a specific team. I'll tell you something. Paula Badosa, the tennis player, was a Barça fan but later became a Madrid fan. That's something a lot of people have applauded. Very good. Very good. If it were the other way around, we probably wouldn't applaud it, right? But I think it's a symptom of the new football fan. The kind who one day supports one team and the next day can support their rival, their historic rival. And you say, well, let's see, but let's see. But well, that's just the new football. Like the new football with VAR, right? There are some things that for whatever reason get called and others that for whatever reason don't. This is what João Cancelo did to Budimir inside the box and they appealed for a penalty and all that. The thing is, look, I often listen to the match instead of watching football or to avoid getting upset and I say, no, let's watch Barça. They're going to win, whether it's 1-0, 2-1, or a blowout. The point is they'll win, so why bother? What are we even fighting for now? Why do we even want them to lose like this? Man, we always want them to lose, but the league is already pretty tough, isn't it? I was listening to things on the radio and then I saw the footage and you say, oh, you have this frame here, right? Man, Budimir. That man who, with the studs, the stomp, all that stuff, whenever there's a Real Madrid jersey involved, well, the man has been lucky. He's been lucky. But with Barca, it's a different story, right? But anyway, the thing is, and now I'm going to talk about this play, okay? Because maybe it's not what you think I'm going to say, all right? But then another one really caught my attention. But anyway, like I said, Barca is 14 points ahead of us. If Madrid doesn't win this Sunday at Espanyol Stadium, Espanyol, who hasn't won a league match since December, well, but there's Madrid. There's Madrid, which is such a charitable team, man. We've already been generous to Barca, so why wouldn't we be generous to Espanyol? Why wouldn't we be generous to Espanyol? So that's it. Choose your own adventure. How do you want to give the league to Barca? How do you want to give it to them? Hey, at Espanyol Stadium? Well, at Espanyol Stadium. If Madrid wins the match, if they mess up and win the match, then what? At Camp Nou? At Camp Nou, man. At Camp Nou, of course. Madrid could also win both matches against Espanyol and then Barca at Camp Nou, and we mess up again. We go to Camp Nou and then we lose at home at the Bernabeu and give the league to Barca at the Bernabeu. There are three options. Choose your own adventure. How are we going to top it off? How are we going to put the cherry on top this season? With what? Come on. At Espanyol Stadium, at Camp Nou, or at the Bernabeu? You decide, right? What do we do? Do we make a guard of honor so they can celebrate in our faces? What do we choose? What do we choose? But I don't think the guard of honor. We said it last week, right? In case they win the league tomorrow because we make another scene there, another mess, and then no. I doubt that'll happen since I already discussed it in last week's video. I mean, how are you going to give a guard of honor to a club that has won several leagues because it was buying off the second in command of the referees, paying him 8.4 million over 2 decades? How? I think Madrid is firm on that, and I hope so, right? Because if not, well, that would just be too much. Well, that's it. This play, you see it like this and you say, man, this has to be a penalty. But what do you want me to say? If there's anyone who's gotten mad at me at the start of this video, they're going to get even angrier. But I have to be honest here. For me, this is not a penalty. Just like what happened between Budimir and Courtois wasn't a penalty either. The next day or 2 days later, we realized that Courtois had already stepped on the heel and Budimir put his foot underneath. Besides, Budimir had already done it. He had already hit the ball before Sainz in that penalty that was called against us, right? And let's not even mention what happened 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, 2 seasons ago, with that incidental foul by Camavinga, that incidental penalty, which they decided wasn't leftover that day, but then it is leftover for other things, right? So, of course, but that's exactly why if I didn't think those two were penalties, but they screwed us over, then this one isn't either. Here it's Cancelo first. Sorry, I can't show it too often, but it's Cancelo who touches the ball first and then because he touches it, okay? He touches the ball first and Budimir touches it too. By the way, it's Cancelo here. Look here. He touches it, then it's Budimir who touches it too, and then Cancelo puts his foot there, but it's because he can't make his foot disappear. Now, I insist, for me, this shouldn't be a penalty, but I have no doubt about it. But there's no doubt that Cancelo can't do anything. And if he's wearing the Real Madrid jersey, here they'd call a penalty for us. We all know that. But well, nothing. It's for Barca, right? How about this play? This one is incredible. This one really seems incredible to me, right? It's like Edu Bagnon from Fanático Real Madrid asks here. He says, let's see, is the ball within playing distance or is it farther away than in the Valverde and Baena play? This is huge, huh? Look at what Gabi Amoro does to him here, huh? And he says, I mean, the ball is already farther away than that day between Valverde and Baena. And the tackle, what happens is that, like this, frame by frame, it doesn't look as harsh. But the thing is, I mean, the play at normal speed, I mean, come on, this guy just loses his head. But like in every play, I mean, he always goes in late. He goes in like a madman. I mean, he always goes in like a butcher in a lot of plays. And well, that's it. They let him do it, man. They let him. Anyway, well, that's about Barca's victory with a goal from Abuloski there, the other from Ferran Torres, and there's a hint of recovery a little bit from Osasuna. So, well, in the end, like I said, nothing. Congrats to Barca for no, wait, congrats. What the hell? Congrats to Madrid for that embarrassing display and handing another league to Barca. The third they've won in 4 years, right? Careful, the final number is still missing, huh? Let's see what kind of double somersault with a twist we pull off tomorrow against Espanyol or later at Camp Nou, and what surprises they have for us. Now, let's move on to Collins. There was a situation today that Collins mentioned, something that happened at the last Club World Cup when Vinicius at one point fell asleep during a talk by Xabi Alonso. I had already heard this before. It sounded familiar to me, you know? It sounded familiar, but Collins was the one who told it, right? And what a coincidence, man, as if we were in the middle of the season. But Collins is, I always mention him. Hey, Javier Alverdi seems like a very good communicator to me. I really like listening to him. And I think, well, he's a guy you could say a lot about. You can say a lot of things to him. No, you can't say a lot of things to him. A lot of good things, of course, none bad or very few, right? But above all, he doesn't want to scare Madrid. He doesn't want to do that. But it's because of how he communicates, because of how I see him. Even though we don't know each other personally, we've talked, collaborated, and I follow him. He seems like a very sincere guy to me. And I think he's a guy who's already had enough, like many of us. And it's like, hey, but what's going on with this team? But what's happening? And here he says something that if he's saying it, and you'll hear it now, it's because indeed someone from inside has told him. And apparently on the live broadcast, because it was explained later, he says, well, it's a live broadcast of an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, where I talk, I say things about Vinicius, about Mbappe, I criticize one, the other, pretty much everyone, right? That's a step that some Real Madrid commentators still haven't taken. I've always said it. Hey, many of them I truly admire and appreciate who might even work at Real Madrid television. They don't want to take that step, and they're within their rights. They're right not to do it. But those of us who did it back then took a lot of heat, and now Collins is getting it, man. But anyway, of course, now these Vinicius Ultras have shown up, just like there are for Mbappe and other players, and they've said, what? But how? And on top of that, they're blaming Mbappe because there's this theory that Mbappe is now doing everything he can to get certain creators to start talking trash about Vinicius or other players, in this case, Vinicius, right? Someone who's involved in this and is on this platform, and me, since I've criticized both of them because I honestly couldn't care less. I'm not taking sides with either of them. They're both great players, but I also think that this year both of them have behaved badly for various reasons. And as professionals, they're leaving a lot to be desired. And above all, when it comes to, well, respect for the coach, respect for the institution, respect for your teammates, team play, a lot of things. So I don't care if people come to me now saying that I'm against Vinicius, that I'm against Mbappe, I'm against both of them. What's the problem? We've gone 2 years without achieving anything. What's going on? What's going on? And it's not normal, damn it. It's not normal. Aren't they two of the best forwards in the world? Just wait until there's a third year like this. You'll see where those two best forwards in the world end up. Anyway, well, that's what Collins was saying. Let's listen to him because it's really worth it. what he says and how he says it. Just a moment. Here we go.
I'm going to tell you something, and this is the absolute truth. Some people will come to me and say, how do you know? Because I know. Because people who lived it told me. In a tactical meeting they're having during the World Cup in the United States, with a video, all the players are there. It's a video session, explanatory, explaining. Vinicius Jr. falls asleep. He falls asleep. He wakes him up. Vinicius, you fell asleep. That's enough to not put a player in the starting lineup, yes or no?
Of course.
I'm not saying it was because of that, but just so you see that many times we don't know everything that happens inside a club, inside a team, inside a locker room. Things happen that are beyond our knowledge. And if a coach decides to bench a star, it's because, for whatever reason, he has reasons that make him think it's the best for the team and possibly for the player. I'm going to tell you something.
Well, Xavi already saw things in Vinicius that he didn't like. The club decided to give more power to the player than to the coach, and Xavi ended up the way he did. Remember that in the video after Saturday's live broadcast, I said, hey, there are a lot of situations in there that we don't know about. I usually trust the coaches more. I mean, if there was a situation between Arbeloa and Ceballos where Ceballos is no longer going to be called up for any more matches and so on, and that has come out, it definitely seems that way. Ceballos has been posting farewell messages on Instagram recently, and Arbeloa says, when I was here, the veterans taught me that nothing leaves this place, that what happens inside the Real Madrid locker room stays in the Real Madrid locker room. Because, well, apparently Ceballos has been leaking things. It's always been said, right, that Ceballos is kind of a mole. That's what people have said, huh? But that's why I'm always more on the coach's side. Siempre. Always. Hey, just like with Carvajal, huh? Just like with Carvajal. I think maybe Carvajal has actually been doing some things he shouldn't have with Arbeloa. Even though at some point I criticized Arbeloa's comments about Carvajal in a press conference, saying he should have shown him a bit more affection as captain and as a Real Madrid legend. And he didn't do it, although he later corrected himself, and that's fine. Or he should have given him, for example, more minutes. Why? As if he'd been Cafu this year, right? But anyway, when it comes to behavior and all that, I'm always on the coach's side because he's the one in charge. Unless there's a really unfair treatment of a specific player, right? But with Vinicius and with Xavi, it was obvious. It was obvious. Well, Collins said this, which is a shame, that Vinicius fell asleep during a team talk. Same if Mbappe does it or if anybody does. Same if anybody does. We're back to the same thing again. I don't care if it's one or the other. Man, the backlash Collins got, it's unbelievable. That if he's in a campaign about Mbappe, that if it's not this, then it's something else. Well, Collins later came out and said, the man says the video that went viral is from a 2-hour live stream where he criticized Mbappe, Vini, Fede, Jude, Carvas, Asensio, and Ceballos. But they only took out the minute about Vini. From there, people who are caught up in player wars got motivated and made up their own stories. You have to admit, some of them are really funny. But here, the only ones who have a problem with Real Madrid are you guys, not me. Take care of yourselves, he says. Take care, you need it. And that's what I mean when I talk about these new football fans. Look, this is Mario Suarez interviewing Paula Badosa. Paula Badosa, Spanish tennis player. I really like this girl, to be honest. And what she's saying, well, I know among Real Madrid fans, it's led to people saying, look, on the bright side, she was smart to switch to Real Madrid. There it is. There it is. Well, it's just that I don't, sorry for going against the grain. Man, I prefer her to be a Madrid fan, honestly. But to me, I just think it shouldn't be that way. She's a girl. I don't know how old Paula Badosa is, but she's already over 20. And I think by quite a bit. But anyway, she supports a team. You can't just switch, not from being a Barça fan to being a Real Madrid fan, sorry. Yeah, even if Barça paid a referee chief or whatever, but you can't do that. It's those new football fans that I just can't understand. This girl does it with zero malice, really, and she's going to tell it now. She had an incredible experience at the Santiago Bernabeu, and that's perfectly fine. But that's not the case with her. Of this TikTok football. She's a tennis player. She's into other things. And she doesn't just go to football matches every now and then. She became a Madrid fan after her experience at the Bernabeu. But this new TikTok football with its wannabe stars with feet of clay, all this talk about having aura and all that. this trend, these videos of well, that about football players. Today they're on one team, tomorrow they're on another, and you become a fan of the team they go to just because you follow them. This is crap. For those of us who come from the 80s and 90s from real football as it always was, honestly, this disgusts me. But anyway, so this is an example of the kind of football we have nowadays, of the kind of football fandom we have nowadays.
Was she a fan of any team or not? I was a Barça fan all my life. Well, because my family lived in Barcelona and all that. And suddenly, when in 2022 Real Madrid played here against Manchester, the Champions League semi-finals. Oh, when Madrid made a comeback. Yes, that match. I was invited and I went to see it. And I was so amazed by the comeback. And what I value, of course, is the mentality. I'm really into that. I said, I'm going to watch Madrid again. And of course, all my people want to kill me now, so I'm going to watch Madrid again. It's very strange what...
It's good he says that. The other one is far from the Atleti bus. I value the mentality part. That's all very good. But now he's saying he's a Madrid fan. You can't be a Barça fan one day and a Madrid fan the next. My same goes for Atleti to Madrid, Madrid to Atleti, or Madrid to Barça. You just can't. And that's a little bit of what we're dealing with today on social media, because that's why they go after Collins, because people are fans of a football player and not of a team. And that's the truth, seriously. And it makes me want to, if I could, many times tomorrow, many times I think, and sorry, my tongue is getting a little twisted right now. I'm finishing up because I'm really tired. If I could, maybe I'd leave the channel tomorrow because I'm a little fed up with football. I'm serious. But, well, I like this too much. Besides, it's my job. And besides, I have the hope that Madrid will do better next year. I think better times are coming, but sometimes, and I don't know. I don't want to go against the current in certain things, but I have no choice but to be here than to go against what people think about this. Oh, this girl is so cool. But what if it were reversed? If a Madrid tennis player became a Barça fan because of something she said, you'd criticize her a lot. You need to be consistent in life. That's my view. Thoughts on a Saturday when, well, that's it. Now tough times are coming. So it makes me think about other things related to soccer that unfortunately have nothing to do with the competition. I wish we were playing in the Champions League semifinals this week. I wish we were fighting for the league with the ref bias to win it, but that's not the case. See you in the next one. All the best to you. And thank you for being there. Bye.